Good morning. It's May 23, 2023. It's a Tuesday. Welcome to your program, Your Agenda, here on Cignal TV, One News Channels 8 and 250. And I'm your host, Cito Beltran, thanking you for being subscribers of Cignal TV, for being viewers of One News and especially Agenda, especially those who follow us via Facebook and YouTube outside of the country, or those who like to watch our replay. Maraming salamat po. Thank you also to PLDT Home Fiber Optic Internet, and of course our friend Marco Borlongan. Maraming salamat. And let's now go to our daily starter for today. But before that, allow me to just give you the hint, the tip for today, meaning our interview later, while our guest is well known as a government official, a business leader, someone who was in the middle of it all when it came to during the COVID pandemic and finding solutions. Today, we hope to pick his brains and his experience for those of you who want to become entrepreneurs. The team Agenda has come up with this topic, shifting from full-time employee to full-time entrepreneur, or how to go from office work or employee to being the owner of your own business. So do join us. I do hope I can pick his brains and and not get distracted by all the economic, political developments around the country and around the world. But today, that will be the topic: how to become or how to shift from employee, to full-time entrepreneur, business owner. Okay, let's now go to our daily starter, which is important even for those of you who want to get into business, okay? And the daily starter goes: the tongue has no bones, but it is strong enough to break a heart. So be careful with your words. Actually, this daily starter, I believe, is a takeoff from what James, from the book of James in the Bible, says about the power of the tongue. The tongue is so small, but like in a boat, the rudder is so small, but it can turn an entire ship. The tongue is so small, but it can start wars, or end life, etc. But also that the tongue gives life. So kung magsasalita kayo, if you're going to let your tongue do the talking, then do it in such a way that you will say, I am blessed, I am going to be prosperous, I will have my own business, I will be healthy, etc. And be a blessing to others. That's why here on Agenda, we do our daily starter and we end the program with a blessing. Because if for anything else, even if the program or the day may not have been as ideal as we had hoped it would be, our prayer is that we start it with a blessing and we end it with a blessing. Okay, so I repeat, the tongue has no bones, but it is strong enough to break a heart. So be careful with your words. Okay, let's now go to the front page of the Philippine Star. And the headline for today, May 23, 2023, Tuesday: Speaker, put politics aside. Okay, before we read the article, there you see it in the middle of the front page. Speaker, Congressman and House of Representatives Speaker Martin Romualdez doing the mano po to former President and current Congresswoman and demoted Senior Deputy Speaker to Deputy Speaker Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. Ayan, nagmano po. And according to Speaker Romualdez, while there may have been intermittent political intramurals in the House of Representatives, Speaker Martin Romualdez declared that it is important for the chamber to prioritize work toward improving the plight of Filipinos. Let us put aside politics first, which is not the right time now to begin with. If we can focus our time and effort on providing solutions to problems of ordinary Filipinos, then we can all bounce back from this crisis. Okay, put politics aside. Kayo lang naman ang mga politiko. Kami, citizens lang kami. Okay. Top of the front page, cyclone to develop into super typhoon in 24 hours. Aray ko po. The tropical cyclone outside the Philippine area of responsibility is expected to develop into a super typhoon within the next 24 hours according to Pag-asa, which is continuously monitoring the typhoon outside of our PAR, and it is possible that it will develop into a super typhoon. Okay, we will see whether this thing is going to come into our territory, but later part of this week we should be prepared, as we can experience rains over the weekend, especially the western section of the country and flood prone areas. Okay, so yun po, no? Now, on the front page, top part, this is when you see this photo, you will be reminded of the classic movie Gone with the Wind. Okay, ayon po. The top photo of the Philippine Star shows the post office up in flames. Fire races Central Post Office, national IDs among destroyed. If anything should be investigated, this fire should be investigated for many reasons. That is a historical building. There has been talk about privatizing it, putting up a mall, etc., etc. And a lot of people are suspicious on the nature, on the cause of the fire, and if there are vested interests behind it. So yan po ang dapat nating paimbestiga. Okay. Meanwhile, as expected, Degamo murder suspect recants. One of the alleged gunmen in the killing of Negros Oriental Governor Roel Degamo and 9 others has recanted an earlier testimony tagging suspended Congressman Arnulfo Teves Jr. as mastermind of the carnage, believed to be one of the bloodiest political killings in recent history. Ayan. So, as far as this particular witness is concerned, inurong na ang kanyang salaysay. But he does not get away with it because he can still be charged with falsification, false testimony. He can also be charged with imputation of a crime, and also, if I'm not mistaken, obstruction of justice. Yung bang akala mo, simple, nagpadala ng abogado, o sige, atras na ako. Ayun, may patong-patong na kaso ka pa rin. So, wag po tayong basta-basta magbibigay ng false testimony. It's not fair to the one we testify against, and you don't get away with it that simple. Okay. LTO chief, J.Art Tugade has resigned effective June 1, citing differences with his immediate superior, Transportation Secretary Jaime Jimmy Bautista. Iyan po. Even as DOTR and LTO both aim to succeed in serving the public, our methods to achieve that success differ. For this reason, I am stepping down. So Secretary Jimmy Bautista will have the free hand to choose who can work best with. Tugade said in a statement yesterday. Ayun po. So, nag-resign na lang yung abogadong negosyante dahil wala raw mangyayari sa kanya. Okay. Meanwhile, Napoles. Okay, natatandaan pa ba ninyo? Si Janet Lim Napoles, the pork barrel queen. Okay. Detained businesswoman Janet Lim Napoles will remain imprisoned for graft and malversation of public funds for alleged misuse by a deceased lawmaker and an earlier plunder conviction by the Sandigan Bayan in connection with Senator Ramon Revilla's Jr.'s Priority Development Assistance Fund or PDAF. Okay? Yun po, she gets 54 years in jail. Ayan po, ay nako. Justice may be delayed, but justice will arrive. Late nga lang, sabi ng iba. Okay, largest data center in the Philippines. Executives of ST Telemedia Global Data Centers, a Globe Group, okay, and the Quezon City government come together for the groundbreaking of a new data center campus, STT Fairview, an 83,000 square meter facility that will offer a development potential of 124 megawatts of IT load capacity once fully built. Ayan. Sana naman po ay lumakas at gumara na yung serbisyo at yung signal for many places. Medyo iniiyak pa nila yan. Okay. President Marcos offers a toast to Asian Development Bank President Masatsugu Asakawa during his visit at the ADB headquarters in Mandaluyong yesterday. Marcos is banking on the support of the ADB to boost the government's food stamp program against hunger. Last but not the least, 150 pesos per kilo of onions, impossible. It is impossible for sellers to comply with the 150 per kilo suggested retail price for red onions and 140 per kilo for white onions, a vendor said yesterday, stressing that the retailers buy the onion bulbs at higher wholesale prices. Ayan po. Okay, that about wraps up all the news we have on the front page of the Philippine Star. And if you would, please buy or get your own copy, physical copy, or subscribe online to the Philippine Star, where I have a column and our guest also has a column. And speaking of guests, let's roll out the intro. Gab, please roll out the Betamax.
Joey Concepcion is the founder of the non-profit organization Negosyo. He was recently appointed as a member of the Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprise Development Council of the Trade Department. Concepcion was also the presidential advisor for entrepreneurship under the Rodrigo Duterte administration.
Okay, welcome and good morning, Joey Concepcion. Nice to have you back. And how are you feeling today?
Good morning, Cito. Yes, feeling good. Everything seems to be doing fine.
Okay, well, I hope you are not surprised by the shift of gears on the program because we discovered, or I've been informed by Team Agenda, that our viewers seem to love it, prefer it when our guests teach them about how to get into business, improve health, more of, like almost like tutorials, if you would, and getting tips from experts like yourself. Now, I know you've been in the thick of things as far as government policy making is concerned and the health issues we've had during the pandemic. But now people are kind of, getting itchy fingers and they want to get themselves busy. How does one go about? How would you? What would you suggest people do? Because the question was, how can I shift from being an employee to an entrepreneur?
Well, what's very important as an employee, you get hired because of your skill. That's very important. The skill that you have will determine how successful you will be as an employee and even as a negosyante. Assuming, for example, today, what is changing? Social media is now becoming a quite dominant force where most of us are either in our iPad or in our phone. And most communication, most information comes now from social media, and you can see that. Mm-hmm. So who are benefiting from this? People who have a skill in writing, content creation, and who are willing to endorse certain products depending on your following as you build it in Instagram or Facebook or etc. So the opportunity right now is when there is a shift now from traditional media. It's not a total shift, but social media, from traditional media to social media is giving now everybody an opportunity to get into it. Like yourself, Cito, you're a host in a show. You are technically an influencer, and eventually down the road, I don't know if you're already a content creator, but that is the way forward. We are seeing in our Negosyo events, which is almost twice a month. And for those who want to really look into starting a business or how to become an entrepreneur, I suggest join these events that we have. They're almost twice a month in the different shopping centers, primaries, SM malls. And so here you'll have mentors on the digital platforms. You will get ideas. You'll meet content creators and influencers. So there are a lot of opportunities right now because there are platforms who provide that opportunity. For example, on Skills, there is a platform that you can enlist what you want to offer as whether you are a writer, a content creator, etc. If you look at the transport platform for two-wheeler and four-wheeler, you've got the Grab platform, you've got Angkas, Joyride, and etc. Now, there are many platforms out there. So if you're a good motorcycle driver, you can now apply in these different platforms and be your own boss. In other words, you seek your own time. You are able to find customers to this market platform. So there is a lot of opportunities right now for those who have a skill. Now, in marketing, there are also opportunities. There's tremendous opportunities. But you have to be a good brand person, be able to position certain products. So you can now, as a professional, you can now offer that service to a wider audience.
Okay, so it's not just a simple, it's not limited to, okay, what are my skills? Whether I'm a writer, I'm a broadcaster, or I'm an artist. It's not just about skills. There are also opportunities in helping others sell their products or their services, or also providing services to the greater market, or as you pointed out, content creation. Although quite honestly, that is so time consuming. But in your experience, Joey, should people who makes it, who gets further, who goes further, who makes it in the scenario, are those who do it slow and easy, or those who just jump in without a parachute? Because I keep hearing this from different people. Ay nako, if you have a fallback position or if you still keep looking back or you have one foot in the job and one foot in your business, you will never get anywhere.
Before I answer that question, no, I'd like to move back a bit. No, in
Oh,
the last ASEAN meeting we had, the president mentioned nanopreneurs. No, so what I defined to you earlier, the potential for nanopreneurs, which is basically a one-person manned operation, no, is still
mhm.
defined as a nanopreneur. No, so who are qualified to become nanopreneurs? I think everybody is, provided there is a market for that skill that one possesses. No? Now,
Mhm.
is it an assurance that you will get successful? It depends on how good are you as a content creator or whatever skill, whether you're a motorcycle driver, a carpenter, or into the creative sector developing advertising material or a great writer like yourself. I mean, so it all depends on how good in that you are. If you are in brand management, I believe down the road that you don't need to go for advertising agencies anymore. You can get smaller agencies, one man, a nano entrepreneur. So this is the trend that's moving forward. No? And what we want to do is, in fact, Negosyo is going to create an event for nanopreneurs to help them build their mindset. No? What is that mindset? We all see that successful entrepreneurs have the right mindset,
Okay,
despite being.
before you go in, Joey, please take time to explain that. You're not under any time pressure because mindset, we are emphasizing is is the priority and the most important. Please go ahead, Joey.
Well, a mindset is somebody who is an optimist, no? And not a pessimist. That's very clear, no?
Mhm.
We faced the pandemic, and if the mindset of that person was, a doomsday and saying that this thing is really going down the drain, the government is not managing the pandemic well, then he would have closed shop, no? So
Mhm.
I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs who succeed who are really passionate, very optimistic despite the headwinds that we face. And that mindset to me is what spells the difference with who will be successful and not. Many people, as they start a business, they normally fail. No? It's not a simple roadmap that, okay, I am now an entrepreneur, I will succeed. Those who have the resources, yes, they can have better chances. But those who have bigger resources, one error, then they're wiped out. So,
Mhm.
but then again, you've seen it from many stories of successful entrepreneurs in the past. Despite falling down, they find a way how to stand up again. So that mindset is something that, in a way, how do we develop that positive mindset? But to me, surround yourself with positive attitude, friends that will think positive. No? Sometimes many of our friends, rather than encourage us, they discourage us and they talk of things that, oh, this economy is sinking, this is what's happening. Then you get infected with that kind of mindset. So many entrepreneurs, and I've seen so many who are really successful, really have that bright outlook all the time, despite so much challenges.
Okay, so failure comes with the territory, and listening to you and the host of other guests we've had on the show for the last month, everyone has said and shared that approximately most businessmen go through about 2 to 3 failures before they have their finger on the button. What is your observation with the entrepreneurs that come to Go Negosyo? Is this typical that they've tried 2 or 3 businesses before they actually found the right one?
Well, I join our mentoring events, which we call 3M on Wheels. It's mentorship, money, and market. No? And
Mm.
out of, let's say, 10 people that I mentor, 7 would be women. No? And
Mhm.
I would say, women are somehow maybe more passionate than men in a sense. No, many of them come, some of them teary-eyed because they've hit bottom. Some of them are facing serious challenges in working capital, and they're asking how they can be helped. No? And So that's where we try to guide them through. Some of them we course them through programs on financial um, literacy in the
Literacy.
sense. Yes, so many of these things on cash flow management, and we have many mentors who provide that advice. No? But you can see that what they still possess is the right attitude. I mean, yes, they're sad, yes, they're challenged, but a few words of encouragement to them mean a lot. And that's how I see as we do our mentoring events, in these malls, the how a mentor would encourage is so valuable. And it's like, when you go to church and you pray when you're desperate, you pray to God that I need all the help. In a sense, it's like that. We're not saying that we're gods, but we're
Mhm.
providing the advice at that right time. Provided the entrepreneur continues to be as passionate, somewhere on along the line, we will find success. And that's why whether the mentor is good in mindset setting or in skills, because a person who may have everything, the passion, but doesn't have the skill will still be challenged. And so upskilling is very important.
Okay, so you have to have the mindset and the skills put together. Now, I'm just wondering, and allow me to digress a little. You've been at this, you've been in this thing for years, for decades. It's clearly your passion and your commitment. Have you ever discussed this issue or this need for financial literacy to be taught to school children and to young adults? Because I've heard this time and again, especially from our Filipino-Chinese friends who are businessmen. They say, Cito, if the typical Filipino were only taught about money matters, about financial literacy, our economy, our country would be much better. Have you shared this observation with people like Vice President Sara Duterte, who's now the DepEd Secretary?
We're supposed to have a meeting with VP Sara pretty soon. I hope this week. No? But I think the way I look at it, yes, the education is critical, no. But to me, what we're trying to do right now, as their MSMEs, primarily most of them are women, teach them cash flow management and how to manage that cash flow. No,
Yeah.
you have to separate what is business and what is your household needs. No, the moment you put that in one basket, and many of them do that, then that's the start of a huge problem. So financial accounting has to be separate as an entrepreneur and that of running a household. That's the basic. And we have programs with DTA and DA, which we call Competitive Mentoring Program, which runs, and a lot of entrepreneurs go through that program together with DTI and DA. And on top of that, the numerous mall-based activities that we have, the summits that we have, we bring the best mentors, we bring all the platforms with us. No, it's not only us. Go Negosyo has been around for 17, 18 years this coming year. No, so we've been doing this for the last so many years. But what's more important is now it's not just Go Negosyo, it's a whole of private sector government approach in helping our MSMEs. So under the leadership of President Marcos, we are pushing much harder because in the end, we all want more jobs to be created. We all want people to have a better life. So creating prosperity, even for us big boys in the business, it is to our interest to see poverty move down and prosperity move up because we will all benefit in terms of economic benefits. No?
Okay.
So that is the focus right now.
Well, I do hope, and you have to please forgive me or be patient with me. Yeah, your friend Cito is makulit. Please tell VP Sara to incorporate that because you've stressed the point hard enough. Financial literacy and accounting and inventory to be taught as fundamental subjects, or not standalone subjects, but integrated in the curriculum because. You're correct. We've dealt with several, even in a private capacity. My wife has told me stories about women who go to her, who borrow money, and who never get out of the hole, only to find out the money intended for the sari-sari store or for the side hustle ended up being picked little by little for, oh, we need to buy this, we need to pay the electricity, etc. Money that was not supposed to go to the house was spent for the house and not for the business. But then, who's wondering NGCP is not reinvesting their money? So I suppose it's a national dilemma. Anyway, going back to our subject. So mindset, matching mindset with skill set. Now, what are the fundamental or basic skills that would-be entrepreneurs should have or should develop?
Well, as you said first, no, money management is the first skill that one has to have, no? Because
Okay.
that's very basic. Regardless of whatever business you are, if you don't know how to manage your funds, your cash flow, and how to separate it, then you're not going to succeed. No. The next thing that's important is identification of what you're good at. No? Some people think they're good at this, but they're not good at that. No? So remember, when you go out and compete, whether you come up with a nice product, you have to excel. I mean, I meet a lot of women entrepreneurs. They show me their product. It's not bad, but we guide them and say, look, you have to step up because there's more people in this. Certain people would also go into a product or a service that it's overcrowded. No? And when that happens, the chances of one making it through is, more challenging. But it's not impossible. No, I've done it in business, so it can be done. But they have to realize what is their advantage as they become an entrepreneur. Whether it's a skill that they have, what is your differentiator? No, you have to always identify what your differentiator is, whether as a brand or as a person, as you being the brand. No? So this is what we're trying to teach people. No, so if I want to come up with this kind of product, let's say achara. Okay, what's my achara going to be different from what is out there? No? So you cannot just be a me too, or else what happens is everybody will just have the same product. No? So to be successful, you have to have a differentiator.
Yeah, well, just a case in point, some people, when Andok's Manok became popular, everybody got into chicken. When the beauty salons became popular, everybody started getting into their own salons or their own franchises until you discover that there are 5 or 10 different beauty parlors in one block. And so you all
Right.
kill yourselves. So the mortality rate, like for restaurants here in Capitolio, our friend Sunny De Leon told me, Kuya, the mortality rate is 60% because the market is very, very close-knit, very particular, and you can't take competition for granted. But here's a question for you, Joey. What's your reaction to the concept of cheap? People will sell things cheap, offer things cheap, provide cheaper choices. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, Cito, in my case, I have to share with you. I mean, fighting the big guys out there, the big brands, of course, we had to have a differentiator. But offering value does not mean you will cheapen your quality. No, the moment you do that, you don't become successful. No? We were once upon a time in the soft drink business, and our biggest competitor was Coca-Cola. We were able to overtake them because our price was very low, and the product that we did was pretty close to Coca-Cola. No? So, I mean, yes, you have to identify and whether that model you have, whether if you value it lower, are you going to make a profit? You can only do that if your competitor is selling at a high price with high margins. So that is a possible entry point. Now, when you're in a restaurant business, location is key. No? So you don't need to offer, make your prices go down. No? So I always tell this to many people. Try to determine first where your skill is. Do you have enough working capital to start the business? Assuming it's a restaurant, do you have a location for it? Or if you're not sure of all of this, why don't you just get a franchise from Philippine franchise? You can get all you basically have a mentor who's the brand owner, access to market. They will pinpoint where there is less Jollibee, McDonald's, or Potato Corner, or all of these. There are smaller franchise for smaller restaurant. There's also franchises for that. So sometimes you can start by being a franchisee, and because you already automatically have a mentor and they have a brand that they have built. So being a franchisee is not a wrong way to start. It's a way to learn.
Okay, what about resellers? Because there are people who come to me and give me a problem or a puzzle and tell me solve this. And one of those puzzles is, I want to have a business, I want to make a side hustle, but I can't produce anything. I don't have time to go into production, etc. So I sell them, then just be a trader, be a reseller. If you want it, but I don't know. In your experience, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Cito, it's huge. As a mentor in our events, I find out that there is so many people developing products, as I say, different delicacies, etc. And how do they distribute it? Through resellers. So that's what I learned. Wow, this reseller thing is huge. And why did they do that? One, because at least the resellers have the network already. Now, these micro businesses are growing and they're using either a digital platform or offline, which are resellers. In our case, we call them distributors. These are big distributors who sell our products to the sari-sari stores. But for micro entrepreneurs, they will never be entertained by distributors because they're just too small. But there are many resellers out there who are willing to post it on social media. So the awareness level is coming from social media, which they use either Instagram, Facebook, etc. So that's why I'm telling you, Cito, the growing phenomenon that I see right now is more and more Filipinos are wanting to become content creators and micro-influencers. This, to me, is the future, just changing the landscape and giving now a simple entrepreneur the chance to show his product because of social media.
Okay, so in a way, I don't know if I'm stretching it, but in a way, these influencers are digital resellers.
Some of them are digital resellers and some of them are just plain influencers. Just to give you an idea, what I'm seeing right now are micro-influencers, simple people. I mean, yayas, simple grassroots people, masa. These are the people that really work for us as influencers because these are bulk of our population. No? So if a micro-influencer who comes from a simple living on endorses but ang sarap ng produkto niyo, i-try nito, bumili kayo sa supermarket. As somebody who's looking at social media, I might believe that person more because, he's the market. No, so in other words,
okay. I get it because I've been seeing a number of these micro influencers. They're typical Filipina, young, in their late teens, mid-20s. They go to a resort, they go to a restaurant. They're not celebrities, they're not public figures, but on their own, they give their stamp of approval to certain venues, certain products. And before you know it, they actually become legitimate social media influencers.
That's right. And that is growing rapidly. And that is one thing that's great. And now, of course, as us, big companies, this opens now. The digitalization has created what I call a game changer. It's democratized everything. In other words, that day, how much will I pay an ad be in Channel 2, Channel 7? Expensive. Today, I may have no money, but I can give maybe my product to a micro-influencer and to endorse my product. And they have the platforms as well, Lazada, Shopee, and all of that. So this is the greatest equalizer to me in making our country more inclusive, digitalization. Okay. With the GCash and Maya, all of these things is helping the poor entrepreneur have a better chance to succeed.
Okay, we'll go for a quick break if you don't mind, and after the break, let's continue with our conversation. And where should we take it from here? We'll be right back here on Agenda. Welcome back to your program, Your Agenda, here on Cignal TV and on Facebook and YouTube. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, and continuing our conversation is the founder of Go Negosyo and a major influencer both in government and in business, Joey Concepcion. Joey, welcome back.
Hi, Cito. Hi, Cito.
Okay, let's carry on with our conversation. Just as a quick review, some of you might be thinking, oh, Cito's not 104% focused on the camera. I am taking notes. Ever since we did the shift in the program, everyone has been taking notes, including me. And Joey, you mentioned we are hired as employees because of our skill. Employment is skill-based, but now social media is redefining the terrain so that there are now more content creators, product endorsers, and we were just talking about micro endorsers or non-celebrity endorsers. Now, what would be the next steps? You said develop the right mindset, be optimistic, be positive, as in church, keep the faith, so to speak. Now, you then said from having the mindset of the winner, develop the skills. What are the skills required? You said financial literacy. We talked about accounting, inventory, and then marketing. You mentioned that. And so now, where do we take it from here?
Well, financial literacy, put it simply, cash flow management. What you get, you cannot spend more than what you get. No? Now, how do we take it from here? What we've been doing in Go Negosyo is we're ramping up our mentoring program all over the country. No? We're identifying areas where there are great opportunities. And we launched the Tourism Summit in Cebu with Secretary Frasco last May. And that was jam-packed. Why tourism? Because that is a sector that has been quieted because of the pandemic. But now there is revenge traveling. What are the opportunities for, people who want to get into business? This sector is, to me, the underdog. If you look at the Philippines versus Bali, so many tourists in Bali, the beaches don't compare at all to what we have here. So the opportunities for people who want to get into a negosyo is don't crowd out and put more sari-sari stores or carinderas or things like that. They're already it's already packed. Look at the sector that has the potential to grow, and there is less competition there. Whether it's a souvenir shop, whether it's a culinary, a restaurant. You know, people go to Bali because of the restaurant, apparently, rather than the beach. No? So I think we have the potential to look for good people who are talented in cooking and are able to come up with their own concept in a restaurant that can differentiate why the Filipino food is much better than the Thai and the Indonesian food. No? So if we want to bring about a robust tourism arrival here, we have to ensure that the culinary experience is there, that we have the right tour guides. No? So that is an opportunity for people who are good in cooking to start looking at the tourism sector. Now,
Okay.
you have to be in a venue that is where tourists will want to be. No?
Okay. Let me cut in there, Joey, because as you know, I built 2 resorts in Palawan. So that's that's in my back pocket, so to speak. Ladies and gentlemen, what Joey Concepcion, mga kaibigan, has said is very interesting for those of you, especially out in the provinces. A lot of people keep talking about Airbnb, talk about hotels, etc. There is now a new movement, yung mga overlanders, mga campers. They go to safe areas and they're not necessarily looking for swimming pools or high class facilities, but what Joey said, yung good food. Kasi we have so many beaches. We have thousands of kilometers of beaches in the Philippines. But not everybody, not all of them are visited by tourists because walang makain, walang matirhan, etc. So I just want to reiterate what you were saying, Joey. Now, regarding this tourism forum that you did in Cebu, what are your pointers for our viewers who might want? You said, okay, you need to develop a place to eat. And hindi naman kailangan ng first-class aircon, di ba? Because there are places in Boracay that are, how do you call it, outdoor talaga. So, go ahead.
So, Cito, I know you were in the tourism business. In fact, I still go to your island, now called Club Paradise. If you didn't sell that, you would have been a multi-billionaire today. That is one of the most beautiful islands in the islands of Coron. And Discovery Shores now owns it. So that's what I'm trying to say. We have so much potential here. It is a sleeping giant. Secretary Frasco hopefully will succeed in really promoting. We brought in 30 content creators and influencers in that event. And these content creators are, doing very well because, and I think that's what we have to do. See, ordinary Filipinos can become good influencers and content creators. Where do they focus? They focus on the tourism sector. So they go around different sites, they talk, they live with the people there, they eat. So people follow them, like this guy, his name is Kulas. So what I'm trying to say here is that this is a golden opportunity, the tourism sector. And I think it is just a matter of time that this thing will explode. You can see already the problem with our airports. I was telling Secretary about this the other day. There's so much people coming to the Philippines, and this is not yet not yet breathing there, no? And that our airports are full, and people are inconvenienced in waiting. So we really have to expand the capacity of our airports. That's critical in tourism. But once this all happens, what are the opportunities? A bed and breakfast type of home where a foreign tourist, I noticed they want to, like this guy Kulas, he stays in people's homes. He stays in just like a backpacker. And this is the new wave now of traveling. Many are backpacking and just, glamping. And so they look for guides who take them to places where not people like us would go to. So these are people who want to rough it out, and that is the new generation of young people.
Sorry, Joey. Sorry, that's where you and I split hairs. You go to the hotels. Me, I still like the old life, taking the bus, taking the Roro, and backpacking. But just teasing you. But you're so correct. People like to complicate matters, especially those who want to get into business. But there are still a lot of Filipinos who want to stay with host families, eat the what the locals eat, and tourism is still so underdeveloped in the country.
That's right. And people want, foreigners, I noticed, want to experience that. Maybe us would like to stay, in a nice hotel. I'm sure you'd like to rough it out. But there is a market for everything. And what I'm just shouting out here is that let's not force ourselves to become a micro entrepreneur in something that is already crowded.
Mm.
Train yourself for a sector that to me has the best opportunity, and that is tourism. There will be so much opportunities. Why? Because if we don't have entrepreneurs putting good restaurants in these places or do good tour guides who will do it differently, then we will never be able to be top in Asia or in the ASEAN when we have the best resources in the world. Nobody can compare to the beaches in Philippines. We've got Siargao, Coron, and Boracay. It's just one of the many out there. And I've traveled because I go diving and I experience it. I mean, this country is fantastic with resources. So we really need a good marketing person to really brand the Philippines. And that I hope Secretary Frasco will be able to accomplish. And Marco Nograles, who's with DOT. So I think what we now have to do is encourage those who want to be entrepreneurs to look at this sector, no? And don't fear, you don't need to spend so much money in putting up a hotel. Make a nice bed and breakfast and then have really authentic Filipino meal there. And, there are many backpackers and foreign tourists who'd like to experience what is it, no? In the Philippines.
Yeah, there are. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of Airbnb, people are looking for alternative price sensitive, price wise places to stay even in Metro Manila, because there are many people who travel to Metro Manila for a training, a seminar, take an exam, and to stay in a hotel would really put them in a hole. So that's one business. That's a good suggestion, Joey, and for tourism. Now, before we run out of time, we're down to last 4 or 5 minutes here. So the big opportunity is still in tourism, and you got me there because I've been talking about going back, doing something tourism related. Maybe I'll just put up a seminar or training seminar because people say, pare, ang mahal na ng lupa. But other than tourism, what other opportunities are there?
Well, of course, those who have the skill in the new wave of digitalization, that is where this younger generation really excel, no? In the IT world, no? So e-commerce is really growing, and the platforms are really changing the way we do things. Even in advertising, we've shifted all of our advertising spend to social media. No? So that shift is disrupting the old boys. No? So look at, especially a lot of our youth are so talented without even having to learn. I have to ask my children to teach me how to do this gadget.
Exactly what I want.
We're being eased out. No, we're being eased out.
But you don't even have to be a worker or an employee. You can be a mentor. I can mentor, or I can train people regarding startups on tourism, on design, etc. And they can be mentors to lolos and to titos on how to have a GCash account, how to get started on Instagram, etc. Anyway, any last words for our viewers for today? Because I'm sure we'll be bugging you again regarding this kind of topic.
Well, we're here to help all who would want to be entrepreneurs. We have an event on May 27. We'll post that. That's in one of the SM malls in the South. So you will see that posted in social media and also in print media. No? So we're heavy there, and we're focused on helping all of you who really want to become an entrepreneur. You have to have the heart, and you have to accept that it is not going to be an easy path. There will be a lot of challenges, but never be scared. If you have a skill and you're sure that skill of yours is in demand, whether it's in culinary, whether it's in service, or whether it's in brand management or social media, then go for it. No, go for it. And you can always call us. We're available. The awareness of Go Negosyo right now is at 65%. So many people know how to get in touch with us. And definitely we're out here, not only myself, but the whole private sector is here to help you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Joey Concepcion. Keep it up, and do hope to join you in one of these events. And if not, we'll see each other one of these days. Thank you, and have a
Thank
good
you.
day. God bless you. Okay, that's Joey Concepcion, founder of Go Negosyo. And let's now go to the blessing for the week. It comes from the book of John, chapter 14, verse 27. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. I'm Cito Beltran, thanking you for joining us today. I hope you learned a lot from our guest, Joey Concepcion. And if you have topics, agendas that you want covered on the program, this is your program, this is your agenda, and let us know. Please keep it here on One News. God bless you.